Okay. And welcome to what do we call Heller Barnes? Sometimes we have a great time before the show even starts, and we're talking, having a good time. And we have a fantastic guest. Stacy's with
Mhm,
us here today, and
mhm.
she has multiple names, so we'll talk about that here, as well as some of the cool things. I love people that are bilingual. I had to look that word up because I only know one language, and so it confused me. But I do absolutely have, because I do consider myself bilingual, sort of. I speak computer and programming, and that is a
That's
language
another
which,
language.
I've
Mhm.
spent years doing that. And then of course, there's another gentleman here. Uh, uh, Johnny Heller's with us today, thankfully. And so, Johnny, how in the world
I'm
did
not
you two?
bilingual.
How in the world did you two meet? And you've known her what, 37 years? Do I remember that? You
Ah,
almost married
este
her?
es mi amiga, sí. Actually, I'm studying Duolingo, which I've heard is not the best place to study. I'm studying Spanish, as a matter of fact, for 2 years now. Anyway, so I met Stacy. I can't even begin to answer. I have no idea. I seem like, again, Stacy's a guest that I've known, but I don't know why.
Yes. So, remember when APAC was in Chicago?
Oh god, yes, that was a great time.
So, I think it was like 2016, 2017.
That's us, yeah, right, yeah, yeah.
So, I had recorded maybe like 4 books at that time, and, I came to the Splendiferous workshop, and I went to
Right?
the Audis I mean,
We had
to
that in the loo it
APAC.
was in the Loop, as I recall, right? The Splendiferous?
Yes, at McCormick Place. And yeah, yes, and the,
Yeah,
Splendiferous workshop was just
mm,
nearby that,
yeah.
and, I didn't talk to anybody. I think you complimented my outfit at the workshop, but it
Well, it's
was
not even allowed anymore. I can't believe I had done that.
He does mine
I
too,
didn't I
though.
didn't wear it for you.
but, yeah, that's the first time I really encountered you was, during that, and I learned so much, and I knew literally 0 beforehand, so it was really, it really shaped my career a lot to have gone to that, and for to be living outside of Chicago and to have those events happen when they did
Mm.
was divine intervention.
Are you SAG after now?
Yes.
So now, because there's a lot of stuff, because I used to do a lot of stuff in Chicago SAG, because we talked before the show. Stacy and I, Stacy lives in a suburb right next to the one I grew up in. So, I'm a Chicago boy, although I've been in New York a long time. But whenever I go back home, I still call it home, like you'd
Mhm,
call New England home.
mhm.
Um, it's because you never lose that. But I recall that it was such a fun time. It was in McCormick Place. For those of you who don't remember and didn't go to the APAC in Chicago, it's a giant, giant space
Mhm.
that hosts car shows and restaurant shows and stuff. And it's not necessarily convenient to any of the stuff Chicago's known for.
No.
So you go there and you have to drive or take buses back. But it was God, I'd forgotten 'cause it was so long ago. That was a fantastic time. We did a Splendiferous workshop there, and then we had then of course the Audis, and then there were all these parties. And now and Chicago is there's a lot of narrators there, a lot of obviously a lot of great theater. Um, my good friend Paul Rubin grew up and was there too. I
Mhm.
mean, well, we both so yeah, so it's a great town. Do you take advantage of the theatrical training or shows or workshops or anything there in
I
the
did
city?
theater in Chicago for a very long time, that's how I ended up in Chicago. I moved here in 2004. I was actually dog sitting for Keegan-Michael Key when I moved here.
I was just watching his one of his shows last night. I think
Yeah.
Key and Peele are still the funniest things ever.
Oh my gosh, that show is so funny. Yeah, so a dear friend of mine, she knew him from college, so we were staying at his house and dog sitting for him while he was on Mad TV,
Yes.
and, we were doing theater. I did theater for in Chicago for many, many years, but you just get paid nothing in Chicago.
Yeah. Well, you were not equity?
Even if you are equity,
I know,
the jobs
yeah.
are so few and far between, and I don't do musical theater. I feel like if you did musical theater, you could cobble together more of a steady equity career, but if you only do just straight plays,
Yeah, it's hard.
you just never get any work if you were equity.
Yep.
especially back then. I think there's more loopholes now with different contract types, but I haven't done a play in 15 years at this point, I think.
Yeah.
So,
Well, let's talk about that for a second. Don, you can jump in any time, but for me, the audiobook career, we can talk about it, but it checks a lot of the theater bug. We both have theater in our hearts and performance in our souls, and we require it. And it checks a lot of boxes, with the exception of one of the most important boxes is the immediacy of an audience response,
mm,
Right.
which is lacking. Was that a difficult hurdle for you to overcome?
I think when I did theater, I liked the rehearsal process better
And the
than
performance.
the live
Hmm.
performances because I would get really nervous and I would have to start prepping 4 hours before showtime to, like, get myself in the right headspace.
Were you one of the
Whereas
actors that threw up before every show no matter what?
no, I didn't, but I had to eat the same thing every day. I had to listen to the same music. I had
Like
to have a ritual.
you're like Wade Boggs, yeah.
Weed bugs.
You know what I mean at all?
Yeah, yeah, I
Okay,
remember
good.
who Wade Boggs is, the baseball player, right?
Yeah, well, he was a great hitter, but he did the same things all the time
Yeah,
to keep streaks alive, and
but
I
I
was
just I always liked the rehearsal process so much better, like digging into the text with the dramaturg
yeah.
and just exploring and making different choices. I liked that part so much better. So I actually don't miss the audience, the immediacy of the audience. I kind of like just being in it myself and just feeling the feelings.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's unusual, though. I mean, a lot of people, a lot of us are so. The performance is the fun part, and the rest of it's just the work part, and that's a great, great point of view. Uh,
Mhm.
but backwards from for a lot of us. Although the fear, classic. I know so many performers that are great on stage that actually are uncomfortable around people if they're not in their little home setting. On stage, they might be okay, but then to go out and meet everyone afterward, that's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough. So
I
cool.
I remember I remember when I was living in Chicago, I wrote a lot of shows, and you could one of the good things about you could write and produce your own stuff. There was always
For sure.
spaces and things, so I got a lot of shows, and I discovered I discovered a great cadre of good actors. Yeah, 'cause I was in acting classes, so you got most of your people you worked with, but on the things I had auditioned for, whether I was doing an equity show or prior to equity time, um, I discovered a fascinating thing that I'd never even thought about. There were some actors who were absolutely brilliant at auditioning.
Mm.
Just oh my god, they knocked your socks off, generally with a prepared monologue.
Mhm.
Um, some were great with prepared monologues, some were super with cold reads, that's what I was good at, but a lot of times those monologue experiences, audition experiences didn't translate into either the rehearsal or the performance,
Yeah.
and I found that
Mhm.
fascinating. Their skills were heightened to an ex and in the place that they were great at auditioning, but they were shitty at working,
Yeah.
and I just found that how do I've never encountered that anywhere except then, and I find it
Yeah.
fascinating.
That is really interesting. It's funny because I think I too was much better at cold reads, and, maybe that's why we're in audiobooks because so
Well,
much of
cold
it
reads is like
well, it's
improv, yeah, we
yeah.
like it, I mean, there's no expectation, and you get to and you this when you don't know a lot about the character or the situation, brand new things can happen that would never happen had you known.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those are the magical moments.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, we're talking acting, this is so much fun.
See, and I always kind of had the opposite as a performer. I always thought I struggled with the auditions.
Mm,
And in the live stuff, part of it was, I was with a group of people and, just like an ensemble, and that felt like home. And the auditions where there was pressure, the performance in front of the people, yeah, that part seemed easier, which is fascinating. I mean, everybody's a little different, but I know so many performers that are so shy, and you think, oh, they seem so outgoing, and then you meet them when they're not on, on their gig, whatever it is, acting, and they barely talk unless you talk to them for a little bit. But
Mhm.
that's just the norm. It's crazy how many people are performers who are a little bit shy when they're around people in the real world. So classic, classic.
I wanna I'm gonna go on some of the we have some questions and comments to go over, but before we do, let's talk so, Stacy, when you were in Massachusetts, were you studying theater there? Were you a theater major?
I went to Bard College in New York. It's, like, near Albany on the Hudson River, and I studied under Joanne Akalaitis, who, if you know about especially experimental avant-garde theater, you might know Joanne. Um, and yeah, so I studied theater under her, and, but I didn't really do any theater in Massachusetts, just, like, high school plays and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So, when did you started acting as a career choice in the Chicagoland area, basically?
Mhm. And, because I had to have day jobs because
Yeah.
nothing paid enough, I was working at, a Montessori school as a teacher's aide, and then, it was just so exhausting because I would have to get to the school at 7 in the morning after having done a play until 10:30, and then I got married and had a kid and just I couldn't keep up with it anymore. I just couldn't it felt the theater lost its joy when I didn't feel like I was getting adequately paid, and it was just taking up my time, and working without the protection of equity, I
Yeah.
wasn't working in nice circumstances either. It was
You didn't have
cold.
a tough choice. You didn't have a tough choice between the choice being leave the husband and kid and stick with theater or the other way around. That was easy for you.
Well,
It was
certainly leave the kids. I mean, that seems like
"All
every
right,
woman's
all right, son,
dream.
curtain up."
Who likes kids? Especially if you're acting. You don't wanna be on stage with a kid. Ah.
So what brought you back to the wonderful world of acting and audiobooks?
I just could not just be a stay-at-home mom. I couldn't just sit around and do nothing. So I thought, okay, voiceover. I could start doing voice acting. I started coaching with this very successful commercial acting coach in Chicago. And she told me, join voices.com. But wait for it. Let me explain. She said, "Join voices.com. Here's a coupon code. It's really cheap right now. You're not doing it to get work. You're just doing it to have scripts to practice commercial auditions." So it was not with the aim of actually
Right.
getting rich quick. It was just to practice.
Mhm.
And I thought that made sense. So I started doing the auditions, and, there was an audition for, a set of 5 romance novels, and I auditioned for it and somehow got it, even though I was honest. I said, "I've n"
Voices.com?
on voices.com, and I said, "I've never done an audiobook." They said, "That's okay."
What year
And,
was this?
2016,
Okay.
and, they said they advertised these books as cutesy romance, but they were like 50 Shades of Grey, and they were very poorly written. There was one point where, um, the dad was said to have hanged himself, and then the dad shows up later at a dinner party.
I'm better.
Okay.
I got better.
Well, that's a traditional storyline.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. You
Yes,
I think
completely lacking in,
just a formula.
miracle.
Yeah.
But, I struggled through, I got through them, and it paid for my kitchen floor at my
Oh,
house. I mean,
there you go.
miraculously, even through voices.com, it was still a really great paycheck. Even today, I would say, wow, I got paid really well for those first books.
Yeah.
And boy, was it a learning experience.
And then
And
how did
so
you transition into, I mean, how many book like, oh, okay, let's back up. You, last I checked, you're 400 books into it, so you've come a
Mhm.
long way since then. And take us along that little journey of going from the first one that you learned so much from, and then
Mhm.
how did you get the next job and get stuck in this whole world?
So, as I said, it was back in 2016. Social media was a very different place.
Yes.
I joined the, indie
Hmm.
Facebook group,
Yep.
indie
right.
audiobook
Yep.
Facebook group,
Still going.
still going,
Not the same.
not the same. Back then, it was such a lovely place, and there were so many people who were willing so many professionals who were willing to help, and they didn't get pushback when they offered very good legitimate suggestions.
Like,
I left that group, so I don't know anymore, but,
come see, come saw.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's it's a mixed bag now.
Well, yeah, yeah, I will say, there is some pushback sometimes because yeah, since we're off on the tangent, let's go with it for a second. Because people are watch this show, and I wanna talk to them as well.
Yeah.
When you're on these let's talk about a couple of things. When you're on these Facebook groups or any social media group, you can ask any question you want, but be aware that an open-ended question is gonna open the door to a lot of opinions that aren't necessarily that helpful. But when you have, um, James Romick, Johnny Heller, Joe Frumkin, Sean Pratt, when you have people like that, um, suggest Terry Daniel in the commercial world, suggesting things, giving you ideas. You don't have to take it as scripture. You don't
Mhm.
take scripture as scripture as far as I'm concerned. But at least understand where it's coming from. Like now, how many books have you done about?
About 400.
So that's so if you say something to somebody, that's coming from a wealth of experience.
Mhm.
I've done over 1,200 books. So if I say something, it's not because I just need my name out there. I'm trying to help you because one of the things I found about this group, Don, everybody, it is, as you mentioned, nurturing and mentoring and helpful. We want to make the community and the experience and the profession to be better all the time. But a lot of people do push back because it doesn't validate whatever they think.
Yeah.
Like if somebody says, "Well, I did it all. I don't need a coach." And I said, "Well, you should have a coach." They say, "Oh, screw you," you know, or they say, "Listen to my demos. What do you think?" I'm like,
Mhm.
"Geez, that's opening the door to anybody." So those kind of things, that stuff still happens. There's
Mhm.
still pushback, but I think it's a lot nicer now. And let's be honest, it's a lot more fun to read when it is pushback and insult. Yeah. How no matter how rude it is, that's a much more fun to read.
Yes. I do feel like my last straw was around the pandemic times when there was just so many people who joined because everybody was just
Yes.
at home, and it really got kind of ugly and uncomfortable at that time.
Mhm.
So, I imagine that now it's probably leveled off to some point. Um,
There are gonna be assholes in every field,
yes.
always, and social media gives them the chance to, show themselves quickly.
Mhm.
And the reality is, there's such a wide range that somebody who has done 10 or 20 books sometimes feels like, oh, nobody's told me my stuff is bad. And they take that as validation that it must be good.
Yeah.
There's a difference between you saying, you're, you being quiet because you go, he really should comb his hair. You might say that one day. And then, but instead,
I'm not doing it.
instead, you're polite and you think to yourself, "Oh, he'd look better if he trimmed his eyebrows or combed his hair or something." But you don't say that because you're too polite. And in the
Mhm.
groups and anonymous stuff, you will get people that say some things, and sometimes you think, "Boy." And then I know here's one of the other problems, just for those of you that are listening. I don't answer sometimes some things, not because I don't have an opinion. Everyone knows I do. It's because I don't have time over the next couple days to go the back and forth and explain all the reasonings behind the comment that I might make. And Johnny might come in and say, if you actually would rehearse that, or if you just spent 15 minutes with a coach who would give you a different point of view from the experience of doing 1,000 books, you would have solved all those issues. And then people go, instead of taking that as, "Oh, that I should consider that," they're like, "Oh, but I'm not paying money to Johnny Heller. You're just trying to get me as a coaching student." I'm always
Yeah.
thinking, so a lot of
Yeah.
times the good advice does not get rewarded because people who don't want to spend any money don't want somebody else. It's the little crabs in the thing that can't get out of the box because they don't want other people going to coaches either. If someone goes to a coach, they get an accelerated experience if they choose a good coach. And unfortunately, life is, how do you choose a good coach? Well, sometimes, but for me, I've had probably 50 coaches over the years for all sorts of activities. Sometimes it's you actually have bad coaches and figure out, eh, I didn't like this person, but I can learn something from them anyway. But you do sometimes throw away some money short term, but you always learn something from those people. And if you go to the right ones, it's a massive accelerator.
I
Oh,
But
for
I
sure.
also
people don't
find
want to hear that.
because you guys have kids, it's probably more important to you, but a lot of people simply aren't very good at writing for social media, writing
Oh
in
yeah,
general. They don't know how to state something like sometimes you can sense attitude in their question or the response.
Mhm.
yeah.
And if it's an arrogant sort of response from a
From a Don Barnes. Go
fr
ahead.
from a Don Barnes kinda guy, thinks he knows it all, or if it's a terse, response from the person who started it. A lot of times and also sometimes jokes and sarcasm don't translate
Right.
well, and a lot of people it's a real problem, I think, that it starts in schools and in teaching kids to write. They're not
Mhm.
learning how to write properly.
Yeah.
They're
Uh,
not learning how to use the language, they're not very facile with words, they're not wordsmiths,
right.
and it really has a negative impact.
Well,
Mhm.
so I
Yeah.
have to say this: if anyone ever looks at the things that I post, they'll almost always find the word next to it in small letters that says "edited." And that's because somebody writes something and I go, "Oh, I know the answer." Yeah, I mean, I've got enough experience in there. I quickly write something and then I go and do something else.
Go
I
F yourself, edited.
yeah.
I
Well,
will say I will say that, Don, you, in those early days on that Facebook group, you helped me so much. You probably have no recollection of it. I was going by a different name then, but you helped me get myself started, getting my tech up to speed so much, and I appreciate it so much to this day. So, that Facebook group did help me get in touch with you, even if you had edited.
yeah, but
You
I'll
still
write
helped
something
me.
real quick, and then we'll go to questions here. But I would write something because I'm in a hurry, and I think, oh, I know. Here, let me write that. I come back and look at it 2 hours later. I glance at it because someone responded, and I think, wow, I sound like a total rear end. The way I was in a hurry, and I didn't write it. And I've learned over time to write in a style that doesn't sound like I'm trying to tell you what to do. I'm
Mm,
trying to provide a suggestion, and I've softened things. I'll look back at it in horror going, wow, do I sound like a rear end on that one? And then I'll rewrite it so that it actually says the same thing in a nicer voice. But frankly, for the busy people who really know a lot, sometimes it's like, I only have 3 minutes to write a quick, get you on the right path. And then it just seems like I'm rude. And so, therefore, sometimes you don't answer if you know a
mhm,
lot because you don't want to appear rude or arrogant, and I don't have time to craft something that's really nice and flowery and
Yeah.
comfortary, and so it happens
Other
all the
people
time.
have already done it for you half the time. By the time I get to it,
Yeah.
there's 15 answers saying what I would have said, so why
Yeah.
bother?
I want to,
Well,
there's a couple.
let's go to Kate Emily's question. And by the way, Lisa Barnes puts up a lot of things that are funny and interesting, and she's delightful. And I just want to say thank you, Lisa, for always commenting.
I need to,
Yeah.
um, someone, so, and I don't know how you say, oh,
Kate Emily, I assume,
yes, yes, yes. That would be like, there's two words there, and that's
or
confusing.
Cat E Millie.
Yeah. So the biggest thing I'm working to overcome in audiobooks, having the confidence to make bold choices without the audience. We all have that, but that's where really finding the right mentor, it makes that just brain dead simple. Because to be honest with you, if I read something to Johnny in 2 minutes, he'd go, "Yeah, here's the top three things you'd need to work on," or he would say, "In this instance, you totally nailed it, and let's check some other things." But you need a third party to validate a lot of that stuff, and yeah, without an audience, and without some feedback from somebody who has a point of view that's seasoned, it can be tough. You still make it without it, but it's sure
Stacy, do you have
best
anything to
way.
say to that Emily's comment? Kate's
I
comment, rather?
I love to make demos and then hire a coach to just listen to my demos and give me feedback on those. Because I think as long as you're always changing your demos, which you should be doing, I feel like, um, you're always going to get feedback and know when you've really gone off the rails. Hopefully that never happens. But you'll also just hear that you are on the right track. And you
Yeah.
can always feel confident about the auditions that you put out when when you know that you can make strong demo pieces on your own. So, I mean,
And I'd
I
say
love
leave it up to
reaching
one more
out to
sec. Leave
coaches.
it up, Don. Leave it up one more sec. Kate, one thing I would, it may be just the way you've worded the question, but no actor's on the hook to make bold choices.
Hmm.
Acting is making choices. It's simply part of the job. But bold, not bold, subtle, not subtle, it all depends on what the context of the scene is, what your character's like, what's going on. But everything's a choice.
Mhm.
In terms of the confidence, I think need to work and have the confidence to just make choices. And I'll give you a simple lesson. Here's a way to know if a choice is right or wrong, in that they are right or wrong. Now, there could be more than one right choice, depending on what you're doing. But a wrong choice or a less than good choice or a perhaps bad choice would be whatever whatever your choice is. And then after you've made the choice, you're unable to say the next sentence or a couple words in the sentence that are words you can always say.
Mm.
Let's say you've made a choice and you've made the character something that he isn't or she isn't. And you won't be able to say the word cat or of or my, or you'll start going up, like as you say on stage, like you go up on your lines. You're going to go up on your line even though it's written. And the reason is inside something's off. And what generally that means is the choice you made just before you went up on the line is not the right choice. And once you experience that a couple times, you'll start automatically and instinctively making the better choices. But in terms of confidence, make a bold choice. There are no bold choices. There's just choices. A bold choice may be to play it absolutely wrong and see if anybody catches on. That's bold,
I've
but
done that.
not necessarily right. So, and the confidence comes with you making the choice that works so that you can say the next line and the confidence builds. So don't, it sounds a little bit like you're down on yourself about that. I'm not sure you need to be. I don't know if you have a coach, but you might want to work with one on that because that doesn't sound like an acting issue so much as a confidence issue.
Mm.
And it's something that can be solved fairly quickly.
It's so interesting what you said, Johnny, about, not being able to get through a line that you should easily be able to have gotten through in under normal circumstances. I feel like it happens a lot for me where I will get stuck on one sentence and I'll repeat it and then punch in again. And it's not until I go back to the previous sentence and redo that sentence leading up to the tough one, then I can get through it. And
Yes,
now it makes me wonder if there was just something off with that previous sentence and I keep hearing it again.
very
And
likely.
yeah.
Yeah. And it's a simple thing, as Don says, I don't know what the words are, but everything we do in audiobooks, just a bunch of squiggly lines like Charlie Brown's t-shirt. Yeah, you can put on a new shirt anytime you want. Yeah, you can get rid of those squiggles and put new squiggles in, and it's all fixed. And no one even knows you screwed up on the first squiggles.
Mhm.
So there's nothing to worry about. This is don't. There's a lot of hard things in the world. Don't make this harder than it is. All right,
So
Chris.
Chris asked, your body of work includes a number of multiple narrator titles. So you're working multicast.
Mhm.
Um, could you talk about the artistic logistics and technical aspects of participating in narrating these types of projects? First off, do you ever go and are you there with the other actors, or is this all remote? Everybody's doing it and somebody's putting it together?
Um, I'll tell you about one wild time. I did, a multicast. Um, Everybody else there were, I think, 7 other actors in the scenes that I was in. They were all in studio together in New York, and I was remote from Chicago. It was so bizarre, and I think a lot of people didn't even know that I wasn't there. They were like, "Where's her voice coming from?" Looking around for me. It was very strange, and I think that that was a really unique moment, something that probably does not happen often. But other than that, I'm always just by myself, recording on my own. We'll have conversations via email, exchange little samples for each other of different characters. Um, I would love to be able to record all together. I was so jealous when all of those other people were together recording, sitting next to each other, feeling each other's energies.
Yeah.
I wish I could have been there for that.
It's a very different experience to because that's as close to the theatrical, presentation as you can get. It's a table read, really.
Yep.
It says performance.
And in
Um
fact, this was a screenplay. The it
Yeah.
was a screenplay within the book.
Oh,
So,
yeah, so what I've done in these multicast things, it is mostly you're doing your lines while generally with the director and engineer on your Zoom call like this. It'd be, Stacy doing the work and I'm directing and Don's doing the tech. That kind of thing happens. And they feed you the lines. Either they play the lines that they're already there, or the director will read the line to you and you can get a response if that's how it is. But basically, technically, you're on your own frequently. If you're in Chicago, New York, or LA, where a lot of the other or Atlanta, where the other actors may be, there's better chance to work together, but it depends on the size of the studio, and that costs a lot more. They need a bigger studio, more space, more time, more lunches. It's a bigger project. But when
yeah,
that does happen, it is kind of wonderful.
I don't think it will ever happen in Chicago.
Really, there's a lot of spaces.
I just don't think the
What would
when
have
I
to, it would have to be Chicago-based production. In other words,
yeah.
the publisher or producer of the thing has to be Chicago because, let's say you're doing I did something with we did Christine Hvam was our guest last week from Curated Audio, and she did a spin and Rumpelstiltskin and Puss in Boots. They were
Mhm.
musicals we did in all together, and it was a lot of fun. Another thing in New York, you get it. In LA, you'll get it. And I know John Marshall Media just opened in Atlanta, so they might do it there. So, and if you ever have an opportunity to do multicast, if it's just you, it's not much different than you doing your book if it's just you. But if you
Mhm.
get the chance to work and I'll say this to everybody again, if ever you get the chance to work in the studio versus your home studio, you should take it. Take the opportunity of that because then you get to meet everybody. And here's Kate. Yes, Kate, I'm sorry if I misunderstood. Again, I I took what I thought was there. So if I misunderstood, we're not saying we're not saying you lack confidence. Get your head together. I hope you don't think we were talking down to you. We're doing the best we can with what's presented to us. But that's great that it's not a confidence issue.
Yeah, and it is different when you don't have any feedback. I mean, it definitely is
Yeah.
different. So it's a that's a those are two totally different performance environments. One with immediate feedback. Comedians all by themselves can have a tough time. They're used to having an audience. They instantly know a joke works, a joke doesn't. People think it's funny, people don't. They get a reaction. If they're doing something that's on film that's going to be that there's no audience, they
Ugh.
hope it lands. But boy, that's a whole different process. So yeah,
Mhm.
we all struggle with those two different environments.
And in terms of audience reaction or any reaction, um, the thing is, once we've done our book, here's Stacy's new book. Now it's out. And I listen and I write, no, I don't think she did a good job. Well, that's my response. Well, someone else can say, because if you read those reviews, you give 5 stars out of 5, but the one that someone actually took time to write is how shitty you are. And that happens all the time. And there's really nothing you can do about that. So when you do actually get reviews, make sure that you don't take them all to heart. Because
Mhm.
some people just had a bad day and they like to, and they couldn't complain about the restaurant on Yelp. So they went to Audible and complained about Stacy's romance, and there's nothing you nothing you can do about it.
Uh,
And I think it'd be funny if Audible would let the narrators respond once in a while.
yeah. Oh, that would be a good one.
"Oh,
So
really?"
yeah. So David's talking about his biggest frustration is dealing with independent authors who are not experienced. Of course, Stacy and Johnny don't get to deal with those as often, um, but they do hear from enough people that do. But do you sometimes get a new author? I would assume, Stacy, most of yours are more
No, every
experienced.
now and then I'll get somebody who reaches out to me asking me to narrate their book directly, and if the money is right, I'll do it. If I
Right.
have time in my schedule that fits their scheduling, if it all works out, I'll do it. I definitely do not mind working with indie authors. Um, I try to set up expectations super early in the process
So
so
how do
that
you do that? Drill down on that. Tell us more.
I
How do you let me know I'm your new author, and hey, here, do my book, and can we have it tomorrow afternoon?
well, I'll say right away based on the word count, okay, so this is how long it will take me to record it. Then I'm going to be sending it out to an engineer to do the editing and proofing and mastering. It'll probably take this long. I set up those expectations right away and I
Can we have
tell
it
them
sooner?
no.
Oh,
If you want it sooner, I'll give you some names of other people who maybe could
oh,
do it faster. Um, but also, the thing that always scares me the most working with indie authors is that I don't want them to send me back corrections after the book is all done saying, "Could you emphasize this word in this sentence?
Oh,
Could you make this sound a little sadder right here?" And, I really love the first 15-minute ACX thing where you have to send in that first
yeah,
15 minutes because I think it really helps to establish a deadline in terms of the direction is done here. Your artistic input stops here.
do you
And
say
then
that?
I take it.
I mean, so
Mhm.
do you have a little packet that you send them? How do you set the expectations?
I don't have a packet. I just write it up every time in the moment because I just don't do enough indie to take the time to create a packet. But I just try to discuss with them as we go along that this is how it's going to be. These are the boundaries that I have professionally, artistically. These are my expectations. I hope they're in line with your expectations. And if they're not, let's have that conversation now.
yeah. It's important to remember when you guys are working with independent authors, and I granted I don't do as much as many, but I have done plenty. You need to discuss because it's generally that sounds like a royalty share in general. So you guys are business partners. If you're going to make any money, you both have to be involved with the production and the marketing. So you need to get that out of the way. And for those of you not familiar with what we're talking about with packets, if you go to the Facebook Indie ACX and ACX narrator groups and other groups, people will happily share their author packet with you. And you can take it as it is, change it, as you wish. Basically, it's like, hey, this is this is what I plan on doing. Here's how I work. Here's and you can accept. So it sets expectations. If your indie author is not experienced in audiobooks, you have to be the expert. You do. You have to hold their hand. You walk them through it. If they're experienced, but their experience level has resulted in different expectations than are yours, you have to fix that too. That's why having a written packet, because I hate to say it, but things can get uh, litigious sometimes, and nobody wants that. Nobody. Geez, Louise, it's just life's hard enough. You don't want to go. I've been in landlord tenant court. That's bad enough. You don't want to go and say, yeah, this guy ruined my book, or this author ruined my career. It's just better to set everything up in front. So if you don't have a packet or don't know what a packet is, ask people are extremely helpful. They will share their packets. All they're doing is saying, here's a 3 to 15 page thing I send my aud. Here's what how it goes. And you stick to that. And if it doesn't work for you, make the changes that make it work. But if you don't know enough about the process, you need to learn so that you're not being you can get taught and you can learn things, but don't let them know. You need to be the expert as much as you can be.
Yep, and be sure you lay out your revision process early on, because if you wait until they send you a bunch of changes, like, could you do this sadder? Can you add more space between this and that?
Instead of British, can we do Yiddish?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, and then you say, "Oh, no, I can't be." It's at the end after they've asked for the change, it seems like I'm just trying to get out of work, as opposed to, no, I made an artistic choice there to put in a bigger pause than maybe you think is right, but you're the expert in terms of the performer if you're the narrator. If you
Yeah.
decide a big pause belongs there, that's how it should go.
Ha
Excuse me.
have a drink, Don. You
Yes.
got some, yogurt stuck in the throat there.
And there's Chris has it right here.
Yes.
So make sure.
Absolutely correct. Yeah. David and I think part of our job is to help those new authors understand the process and make it as painless as possible to lead them to see our work as another revenue stream. That is perfectly put. Well done, Chris.
Yep.
I think we can all agree on that. And if people, and here's the thing, if the author doesn't agree with that, maybe that's not a job you need to take. You guys, everybody seems to forget, you don't have to say yes. You know, you get all, oh, I got somebody offer me a job. Well, what if you got the job of the guy who hung himself and then shows up again then 2 chapters later? Is that what you want? Yeah, I don't think so.
Mhm.
And you can say no. You don't say, "No, your book sucks." You just say, "No, say I'm busy. I've got other books." I'll tell you, you know, like when you don't have a job and you're looking for a job, like survive, like a bar job, a waiter job. That's, oh my God. I spend more time in LA looking for bartending jobs than for theater or acting jobs. But when you get a bar job or a waiter job or any job, it's easier to get another job.
Yeah.
Because once someone else has hired you, all of a sudden you seem valuable to the people who want to hire you.
Mhm.
It's fascinating. That's true in this business too. If you say I can't, don't ever say I can't do it because your book blows. Just say I'm really tied up right now. So thanks for keeping me in mind. That's fine.
Mhm.
And they say, oh, somebody else hired them. Rats, I should have got them sooner. And hopefully by the time they come back around to you, they will have figured out subject verb agreement.
Yeah, they always say, "Get the work, do the work. Get the work, do the work."
Yeah, well, yeah, don't get the work and do the work if it's shitty.
Yes, that's true.
Get shitty work, do shitty work. You know, that's
Yeah,
not
Or do
helpful.
it under a pseudonym.
today a lot of okay. Oh, two things. So I hear you have a pseudonym. Is that correct?
I have so many pseudonyms.
You?
Stacy Gonzalez is a pseudonym.
But it
I
is like it is your Facebook forward facing for the whole narrators world. Is that close?
Yes. I it's my mother's maiden name and a completely fabricated first name. Andy Ardent helped me come up with this name many, many years ago. Um, and part of it was because I wanted to advertise that I have my Colombian background, but also that I feel like I'm a private person in my own life. And my husband works for this very conservative company, and I just didn't want there to be
Yeah, yeah.
like connection. And then I have another pseudonym that's all just the dirty romance. It's all just,
I do
romance
too
this
for that.
Yeah,
what
that's
mhm.
I use Don Baarns for that.
So that pseudonym has been around longer than Stacy has. So, and then I have like other ones too. If it's a very Christian book, I have a new pseudonym for that. If it's just like a crappy book,
Mary Magdalene.
Mary Magdalene, that's it. But I'm not a person who's afraid of just sticking a fake
Yeah.
name to it. I
Do you have website? You don't have websites for each of these people, do you?
I have 2 websites for Stacy and for my romance
Oh,
pseudonym.
okay, yeah. Because now in the romance, I mean, okay, I'm gonna try and phrase this as carefully as I can. I don't know why. I've known you as Stacy. Now I'm disappointed to know you've never told me your real name, but later
Mhm.
on. So to me, you're Stacy. So your romance pseudonym, do you have one romance pseudonym that's sort of happy rom-com and a different romance pseudonym for, get down dirty and have crazy sex with electric watermelons?
So
Is that it?
the latter is
Yeah.
my main. That's the main. It's all the dirty, like, reverse harem,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
mafia,
Yeah, yeah, that stuff, yeah.
alien
I've always
stuff.
done. I like those. Yeah.
For, like, more frothy rom-com-y stuff, even if there is sexuality in it, if it's like a cartoon sorta cover, that
Yeah,
would probably go to Stacy.
right, okay.
Yeah, and then, like, naked torsos would go
Yeah,
to my other pseudonym.
I think I have a s I have 2 pseudo I used one on a book that was just so badly I didn't wanna be associated with it, and they didn't mind. I mean, after I started reading, I mean, they sent it to me, not all of it, they sent me just the first couple of chapters, that's fine, but as it got on, it got really really questionable. And I said, "Is it important that I do this book or that Johnny Heller does the book?" And they said, "What's the problem?" And I told them some of the problems. Said, "Oh my God." They hadn't seen it. So they were okay changing the name.
Mhm.
So I use the name. I use my middle and my confirmation name, my real name. So it's by Melvin Pat. My middle name is Melvin, for God's sakes. So Melvin Patrick did the book,
Mm,
and it's just and the other my other name is I have a website, but I don't use it. It's all British stuff.
mm,
So I use that, but I just because I wanted to have a different thing, and I decided what difference does it make? I'll just do British because I grew up that way. But
mhm.
I don't have a pseudonym for the really dirty stuff because I don't really do real dirty stuff because I'm terribly uncomfortable with it. And also, I sound like this. I can't imagine anybody wants to hear it.
I mean,
Uh,
I would say, like, the really dirty stuff, not everything is very dirty, but
yeah,
romance is really, like, 70% of my business.
yeah.
So, I do
What do they call the older silver romance? There's everything's
mm,
like reverse harem mafia. There's something somebody said, "Johnny, you should do some," and they said it was silver or
mm.
senior, and it was for people like 45 and over. I'm like, "Oh my god, senior
45?
senior
Oh.
citizen." I'm like, that's how they described it to me.
You just yeah, you've passed that recently, haven't
I've
you?
aged out.
Yeah.
I've aged out of senior romance. Uh,
Wow.
yeah, no, but there's so many classifications, and I will tell you this, it is if you in the listening, watching audience have no problem with, s that, saying that, "My god, there's a lot of work, and people love it."
Mhm.
Well, I'm telling you, it's the biggest seller there is. I'm not Christian audio is really big, and I think the same people are buying them. Just one's in a bag and one isn't.
Yeah.
Good.
That's my belief anyway. I can't prove it with stats or anything, but apparently today we don't need stats, just opinions. So I'm perfect.
So a lot of so does a lot of your work come through publishers and they already know you, or how do you still do reach outs? Do you ever are you like advertising, or how do people know about you that don't know about you already?
I have a couple of companies that just consistently send me work, thank goodness. I still have to do reach outs for certain companies that, you know, they might forget about me. Um, but I definitely have steady work from certain companies. I don't really do reach outs to indie authors or anything like that. Um, and my goal in 2026 is to be better about sending out either a quarterly or 3 times a year update to everybody, just because I think you can steer people towards giving you different projects based on those reach outs. And while 70% of my work is romance right now, it might be nice to have just 50% of my work be romance and have 50% other stuff.
Have you
So,
reached out to any of the publishers you met at, New England Narrator Retreat this year? Have you talked to them yet?
so I was going to, and then I didn't. I reached out to one because I got a really good review of a book that she cast me for. So I
Mhm.
reached out to one of them, and then I haven't reached out to the others because I saw somebody say on Facebook that everybody was reaching out on the same day, and I was
Oh,
like,
that
okay, I was
but by
gonna say
now, it's been long enough, you could
yes.
probably and I will say regarding your idea of a sort of that newsletter,
Mhm.
I they even said it in New England, they being the publishers, that they don't love that.
Mhm.
So, here's what I would recommend for you specifically, because I know you change your demos frequently.
Mhm.
If you have put a demo up that's showing off a new, uh, voice, a new sound, a new
Yeah.
ethnicity, or a different genre. Let's say you do a lit RPG, which I haven't done. "Hey, I've been doing a lot of romance, but I just did this great lit RPG demo.
Mhm.
I'd love to." That's what you share with them. Then becomes a little different than, this year, Bobby graduated 3rd grade. It's like a Christmas letter that no one wants to read. That they
Mhm.
replace that horrible. You go to people's houses and they showed you their horrible vacation photos and 8 millimeter. You don't want to see that. So, you don't want to do these newsletters because also if someone sends me the Stacy Gonzalez Gazette,
Mhm.
record, I'm like, "Ugh, everybody got that. I'm not special."
Yeah.
There's that. So do what you can from your end to make this such a Johnny, I wanted to reach out and share with you. I just did this great demo. I think you like it because you mentioned you really like Italian cooking. So I
Yeah,
did whatever the hell it is. Stuff like that, I think would help you get more personal notice. So,
totally.
you're talented and they should be aware of you.
Mhm.
That's the way to do it. I'm just
Yep.
suggesting that for you and those of you out there in the wider world, the same idea applies. A general notice isn't personal. It's a general notice by nature.
Yes.
If I want Don Baarns to notice me, then I wanna send something to Don Baarns that's gonna make a difference, like, I've got your dog hostage and a picture of your dog, that would be something that he'd care about.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I personally have never been a newsletter sort of person.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel true to me,
Yeah, so
and
don't yeah, be you.
yeah, it feels a little icky. So, for me, I totally agree that something personal,
You may find
specific.
out that one of the publishers also speaks Spanish or something,
Mhm.
so write to them in Spanish, and if
Right.
it's why not? I mean, you in this world Stacy, I've heard you, I think you're wonderful, your talent stands out, but on a piece of paper, you're another person. So to
Right.
stand out in your mailings, they pay attention to you, be a little different, whatever it takes. The same way you'd send a specific Christmas gift to me, like, let's say, I like bourbon. Well, I do. I haven't had it in a long time because 'cause I've stopped way back. But, people just send me bourbon because they knew I
Mhm.
liked it. They paid attention. They send Don whatever the hell it is Don likes. I don't even know what Don likes. What do you like, Don?
Cookies.
Yeah, I like cookies too. Alright, send us cookies. But anyway, but whatever it is. Like, remember Nancy Bober, the lovely Nancy Bober? She comes to Neener, she made cookies for us. And she
Mhm.
put them in a little book that had it looked like Shakespeare Tales, and inside with these homemade cookies. Just she's a great baker,
Mhm.
and I'll never forget the kindness and the work, and she stands out to me because she did that.
Yeah.
So stuff like that, I know it's like every year I do send I don't make them, but I send cookies or candies to some publishers I've worked with. Um, and I know that sometimes they don't even get to them. The staff is eating them before it gets there, but I send them and it's nice. And it's just something I can do.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff just they all know you want a job, but once in a while it's nice to say hi and thanks for the year. Appreciate
Mhm.
it.
There's one publisher who specifically told me, for her, always include a little snapshot of yourself in your email
So she knows who
because
it is.
yes, she responds to the visuals more, so
Oh,
That's a great
every single
idea.
time I'm gonna send a little picture.
yeah.
Actually, that's an excellent idea because I have the same problem though. Uh, Admitting all these groups over the years, I see the name Johnny Heller and I think, who the heck is that? No, anyone who I've dealt with enough, that's fine. But
Mhm.
sometimes, like Stacey, you and I have crossed paths 20 times over the last without a visual. And sometimes I'm talking to your pseudonym, sometimes I'm talking to you,
Yeah.
sometimes and sometimes I don't get them all connected, especially if you're in a hurry. So boy, that's a having a visual. I actually do that if I meet somebody in the pickleball world, they go, "Oh, let's chat, let's connect so that we can play again." And it's like before I'm done, I make sure I do a little selfie with both of us so that
Yeah.
the text message has that. And one guy
Yeah.
contacted me 6 or 8 months later because he had been out of town. And I'm like, who the heck is texting me? And then I go and look at the thread and realize, oh, that's that guy I met because I saw the visual. Anyway, that's a brilliant thing. That right there is
Oh,
worth
and
this whole.
Lisa, your lovely wife, Lisa, brings up a great point. Given your multiple pseudonyms,
Yeah,
how would you handle a newsletter? I mean, who's it coming from?
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I
You
mean,
know?
Stacy is my main point of contact for, the publishers and production houses. They know all of my pseudonyms. Um, so everything I send out is typically from Stacy. And with my romance pseudonym, I really feel like I don't have to work to keep her busy.
Yeah.
Knock on wood. I hate saying that because I don't want
Yeah.
to.
That's great. That's
Right.
great, yeah.
But can
But
you
I feel like I have to put a little more effort into Stacy because she does more of the fiction and YA and nonfiction and,
can you
Yeah, yeah.
can you tell us about the bilingual? How does that influence you? Does that get you a lot of work, or do people want bilingual more? How does that affect this whole thing?
But so I would say that I'm not a person who could narrate an entire book in Spanish. I'm not there's somebody else who's native who can do that far better than I can. Um, there are so many books that I get that are so specific to my own story that it's amazing. Um,
Explain
so
that. What do you mean?
I yes, so what I mean is I grew up in Massachusetts. My mother was in Columbia until she was about 30, I think, or late 20s actually. And she moved to the US to marry my father, and we were like the only ethnic family in our little area of Massachusetts, my brother and I and my parents. My mother never taught us how to speak Spanish because my brother, who is older than me, he just said, I'm never going to speak Spanish again after he got teased at school. So um, I learned Spanish myself just in the past few years. I've been studying with a woman from Spain, and there are so many books about people who straddle the line and are very connected to, say, a South American their South American heritage, but are also American, but don't really feel like they're American, and they don't really feel like they're South American either. I love books like that. I love doing books like that because I relate to those stories so much, and it's often in those books that I have to use my Spanish because there are, secondary characters that are of that heritage. So that's frequently where I use my Spanish. Or also, I do a lot of nonfiction that is about like locations and people from Spanish speaking countries. So that's mostly how I use that skill.
And has it helped your career?
Absolutely. Having the language with a pretty good accent and the heritage, I feel like that's like the magic mix. To have all of those pieces, you are there's a new door that's opened up for you casting wise. So yes, it's helped me a lot.
Uh, And I imagine it helps you stick out. Like, when I see, and you seem to market that kind of forward that you're bilingual. Is that correct?
Yes. Yep. Um some of the biggest books that I've done, my heritage has really been a deciding factor in me getting the part. Um, when I started out, Taylor Jenkins Reid was one of my like dream authors, but thought to myself, well, that's a nice pipe dream. I bet nothing will ever come along. And then I ended up narrating her book, Carrie Soto is Back. And it was because I had the half heritage that I described because
Yeah.
Carrie Soto was half American, half I think she was Argentinian. Um, so, just having those different doors open to me, having special projects that other people just can't be considered for in this moment, who knows how casting will change and how much people will be willing to cast people who aren't of that heritage in, say, 10 years. But right now, as it is,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
so many
Keep
doors have opened because of it.
yeah, keep riding that train, absolutely.
Yeah.
Good. Well, listen, we come this has been great having you. Anything coming up we should know about from you? Or
Um, I just recorded a wonderful book called Murder Your Darlings. It's so good.
is it
Thriller.
funny? It sounds funny.
It's a thriller and it's dark and it's so good.
Oh, nice. Okay. Don, you've got your pre-read thing coming up. You guys have if you look if you didn't see it, look at last week's show where Don put it out, and he'll put it out on what Studio One. Where do you put that stuff? Where
No,
do
it's
people
on
find out
VO
about it?
Jumpstart, but the thing is, it's still in beta. So I have something called pre-read, which will streamline your book prep, and I actually have some publishers that are interested in using it as well. But anyway, it'll do something in 5 to 10 minutes in terms of getting you an unbelievable summary of what the book is about and individual chapter summaries. And I'll show it again next week because This last week, I've spent over 100 hours on the vocabulary section on it, and it's working
Oh,
pretty well. Other than it's taking it like it takes 5 to 10 minutes to get the vocabulary right at this point. Now it'll get cut down, but I think you'll be quite wowed as this continues. So I'm in beta right now. I just posted my second beta. I have some people testing, and I think I'm a couple weeks away from something that'll be available to everybody, and I think you'll be
great.
surprised. So
That's
Johnny, what do
great.
you have coming up? Anything fun?
Nothing particularly coming out. I've got some books. I've got Todd Goldberg's latest book coming out December 1st. I think it's gonna be a movie or a TV show. It's great. It's a mystery thriller. It's funny. It's wicked. Only Way Out. Todd Goldberg's a great guy. And that's coming out. And I've got a big project coming out in January. Well, starting in January. I'm not supposed to talk about, which I hate to do, but I hate when they don't let you say anything. But anyway, other than that, Paul Rubin and I are gonna do some New York City and maybe Philadelphia, maybe Chicago workshops. We're gonna go to Chicago, and
Mhm.
Sean Pratt and I will probably do some traveling this year as well, assuming that somebody figures out the TSA and FAA and all that stuff, because I'm scared.
And you should,
But yeah,
as
so
you
anyway,
should
so
be.
happy if oh, next week, what's her working here? Leah Daniels. Elise will be here. Leah Daniels is the name she wants to go by now, so that's what I'll call her.
Cool,
She's
cool,
here
cool.
next week, and the week after that, we have Nick Robideau from Recorded Books.
Mm.
Awesome.
So watch all these things come back. And Stacy, it was delightful having you on. You're just charming. Thanks so
Oh,
much for
thank
being
you
with
so
us.
much.
Yep.
Thanks for
And if you
having
guys
me.
want to be guests or no guests, send us notes, and we're happy to have you on.
Yep.
And thanks, Stacy.
All right, Stacy. Thank you. Johnny, great seeing you again. We'll see you, of course, next week. And as always, we look forward to seeing you